Welcome, everyone. Welcome, everyone in Facebook land. This is Jim's American Academy Qatar. My name is Justin Tyler, your host for this evening. We are going to talk about parenting strategies in the age of COVID. This is a very good topic because sometimes we hear about it, when we first had COVID on the onset, but now COVID's been around for a while, so this is a part of our lives. So our lovely Jim's American Academy Parent Association, they are doing a monthly live stream. This is the first month and the first live stream that we're doing, and this is all about parenting strategies in the age of COVID. So every single month, as a part of their Let's Talk Parent series, you'll get a different type of theme. So each month, come join us, right? We usually do it the last Tuesday of the month. Just come join us. We'll do a theme, and so next month, for example, is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So we'll do a show on that as well. So we got a lot in store, but let me not get ahead of myself, all right? Let's really introduce the panelists today that we have on our live stream. I'm really excited. So I'll introduce myself first. My name is Justin Tyler. I'm the Parent Relations Executive here at Jim's American Academy Qatar. I've been here for almost 4 years. And my role is to do a little bit of everything. So when you first come into the school, my team and myself will introduce who we are, answer all of your questions, do a tour with you, set up the assessments, and be your customer service while you're in the school. So any questions you have, either we can answer it directly or we'll be a resource to help you get that answer. So that's a little bit of what I do, but it's enough about me. Let me let you talk to the lovely ladies that we have on the panel today that are experts in their field, and also just parents who have dealt with COVID as well, all right? So the first person I want to introduce is my co-host and the originator of this Let's Talk Parents monthly series is Miss Deanna Dake, all right? So Deanna, can you introduce yourself to the community?
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Deanna. I've been a part of the Parent Association now for about 4 years. I have a son that's in high school, and he's been in GEMS for about 6 years. So,
all right.
Yeah.
Anything else about yourself?
No, I love being part of the Parent Association and all the wonderful things that we do.
Yeah, I always put Deanna on the spot. She's wonderful at what she does. I always try to get her to talk a little bit more. But honestly, I couldn't do this without her, right? A lot of things that we've done, I couldn't do without Deanna. So it's a pleasure to, work with her directly as a part of the Parent Association and then myself as a part of the school. All right. So the next person, she's been here from almost day one. I think day one of the school. I'm not sure. She's been here for a long time, right? So this is one of our nurses from the Philippines, right? This is Miss Nina Cadiz. So Nina, can you introduce yourself to the community?
Hi everyone, good afternoon. I am Nina Cadiz. So I've been with GEMS since it started in 2014. So this is my 7th year here in GEMS, and I'm very proud to say that I've been here and part of this family. So yeah,
right.
Happy to be here.
yes.
Happy to be working here.
Of course. And I was so excited to work here that I forgot my microphone in the beginning of this live stream. So hopefully you heard me. Hopefully you heard me. I don't know.
You can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah, I'm pretty loud. Everybody knows that. So, well, the next nurse, right? They're a tag team. They're a tandem from the Philippines, right? So this is Miss Flora. So Miss Flora, can you introduce yourself?
Mm-hmm. Hi, I'm Nurse Flor, and I'm Nurse Flor, and I've been here in GEMS for almost 7 years now. I'm a nurse and a mom, so I have a son here in GEMS. He's in grade 1, and my role is to keep and maintain health and safety in our school.
All right. Thank you, Miss Flor. Appreciate you. All right. So the next person, I don't know, it's a lot of feedback, but we already know that's going to happen. It's a live stream, right? So the next person, I'm not even going to say her last name. I know Zavala, the last part, I don't know. I'm going to let her say it herself, but she's a wonderful parent from the US of A, my home country, right? So I want Miss Ella to introduce herself today.
Hi, I'm Ella. Zavala is my maiden name. My married name is McMahon. I have 4 girls. four girls from and they range from 10 years old to 19, and my husband, of course. And so I live in Texas, and south part of Texas. And I mean, that's about it. I stay at home. I was for a long time really involved with the girls' schools, and of course things have changed a lot through when COVID started. So I'm focusing more on my family and everything, and kind of working with the schools, but doing our own thing, just because there's a lot of changes. So I don't know what else you want to know, but
That's good. That's good.
Okay.
You don't want to give them too much, right? You got a whole story to tell them, right? We don't give them too much right now. All right, but now that's good though. That's good, Ella. Thank you so much. And then last but not least, we have another extraordinary parent, but on the other side of the world, right? She's in Malaysia at this time. Her name is Carmen Marie Hogan. So Carmen, can you let us know who you are?
Hello, assalamu alaikum, and good evening to everybody. I am so pleased to be here. My name, as was said just now, Justin just said, is Carmen Marie Hogan. I am originally from Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas. And many years ago, almost 29 years ago, I married a Malaysian, and my son and I and my husband moved to Malaysia. And we've been here, like I said, almost 29 years, and I am now not only a mother, but a grandmother of 4.
Mashallah.
And
Mashallah.
I am taking care of my grandson, who's the oldest. He is 14 years old, going on 15. I used to be working at a religious school, Islamic religious school here in Malaysia. And now I have been doing actually my own private English tuition classes. And also I have a fitness studio for women here in Malaysia. And that's about it about me. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Carmen. Thank you so much. All right. So now we have gotten through all of the formalities, right? Introducing everyone. Now we can get into the questions, right? This is what I'm interested in because we have such a diversity of people, diversity of experiences, and things like that. So let me put up my first question on the board. How prepared were you and your family to initially deal with COVID-19? So go back to when you first heard about it and the onset of COVID in your country, the lockdown situation. What was going on at that time for all of you? So you can just jump in. I'm not going to call names and things like that. Just jump in and share a little bit of your experience.
I'll start real quick, I guess.
Okay.
So when it hit us, it was our spring break. We had just gone so the kids got out of school on a Friday. We left that first weekend before spring break started to Houston. By the time we came back in the middle of that week, we were shut down. I hadn't really heard a whole lot about, I'd heard about the virus, but I hadn't heard a whole lot about it. Like, it was just kind of all of a sudden thing. And we were just thinking, oh, okay, they'll be in school. They're just going to take another week off. No, it didn't happen. They were out the rest of the school year. As far as preparedness, we didn't really know what was going on. So we were just going along with the flow of everyone else. We did what we were told to do. I had already, as far as the shortages in groceries or like paper goods and stuff, we were good because I had just done all that shopping. So it didn't affect us in that way. We could stay home on lockdown without any issues. So it didn't affect us in that way. Where I didn't realize how private we are to begin with. Like, we're outgoing in some ways, like we go out, but we also do a lot of things together as a family, all 6 of us. And so that's when I realized, wow, this isn't that big of a difference than what we do on average. Like, we don't go out to big parties and hang out with lots of people, and we just never did that. So that wasn't a big shock to us. It did eventually, little by little, affect the girls as far as school. So because then they were starting. Now we're getting tired of each other. The usual. We're around each other the whole time. What do we do? What are we gonna do? Like, the girls were worried about school. Like, am I gonna pass? Am I gonna do this? How are we gonna learn? It was a bit crazy. And but as far as the preparedness, it really did not affect us as much as it did a lot of other people.
Same with me as well. It didn't really affect our family either. We always stay at home also, and so it wasn't much of a change except for like going to the groceries. It was just my husband going at that time to buy groceries, and the rest of us be at home. Like only one person would go out.
Same here.
Yeah.
And I really didn't have to with all that what we had done. So with a big family, we buy in bulk. So this, right, like, I mean, it was done. If it was if I hadn't done that, I think it would have been a totally different story.
Yeah.
And then Carmen, how was it for you in Malaysia? Yes.
Yeah, as for us in Malaysia, actually, I had actually gone to America in December, and I was shocked because I had actually seen like a SARS situation as we were landing. They were spraying inside the airplane, and they also there were actually women waiting for us at immigration, as we went up the landing. With they were fully covered, and they had thermometers, and they were checking everybody's temperature. And I asked them about it, and this was on the 16th of December. I asked them about it, and of course they made like they didn't understand me. But we kept an eye on the news while we were in Texas. And then when we came back to Malaysia, we were aware that Malaysia was keeping an eye on China. And so we actually, I believe here in Malaysia, we sort of anticipated something to happen. Everybody was thinking that, yes, we were going to shut down. And sure enough, on the 18th of March, because it was mentioned and considered in actually in January, but nothing was actually done. And as soon as we had 3 cases and 1 death, the king of Malaysia, the reigning king of Malaysia, and the prime minister at the time shut down Malaysia. And so we straight away went into using different ways of registering ourselves. As I was at school, what we did is we straight away, everybody got on the internet. We used all different kinds of ways to teach our classes. And I think the worst effect in our family was on my grandson, because he missed being out there with his friends, and he missed using his gadgets to play rather than to learn on. So basically, that was the worst impact on us. As for if we were ready, I don't know if we were really ready. We weren't really ready for it, but Malaysians, I do have to say, were very quick to hop on board and work together to save each other, basically.
Cool. And shout out to our Malaysian families here at Jim's American Academy. We do have a nice contingent and community of Malaysians here. So it's really good. Thanks, Carmen, for that. And then I want to go to the nurses, though, because it's really good to understand, because we do have one nurse who actually has a family, and the other nurse who was in the front lines of what we were doing here, right? Both of them were, but right. So for one of the nurses, one of you can go first. Like, how was it for you when you heard all this news?
Okay, so I've been here in Qatar for this is my 23rd year in Qatar. So having lived here for that long, I feel really safe, to be honest. So when we heard about this COVID-19, of course, this is something new for everyone. And I think that time when it was around April, that time when they announced that all right, all the students will be doing online, right? So of course, this is like, oh no, there's something really going on. We really need to, keep everyone safe. They need to stay at home. As for my family, of course, I have my mom, my dad, and my brother are all here in Qatar. So I think no one was really prepared for this. Everyone, I think, is on the same page as of everyone. But what we need to do is just trust trust the government that they will, be helping us deal with this COVID-19. We just have to follow the rules. So I think it was just fast paced, and you really don't know what. You just have to follow. They know what to do. Let's just follow. And my family, of course, they're all scared. Even back home, because we couldn't travel, we couldn't go back home. It's a story for everyone. And having been here dealing with COVID-19, it's really a challenging situation for everyone. So, yep, for my family, we're not prepared for this, but we are just keeping on track and being updated, staying updated with what's the latest news and what we should do. So I think, being having my family with me is also a big part. Unlike for some who are like stuck here in Qatar and they're away from their families, I think that's a really big, challenge for them not to see their families and thinking about this pandemic that you couldn't go anywhere during this time. I think that's the challenging part if you're away from your family. So I'm just blessed that my family's here with me, and we're in this together. Yep, that's it.
Very much.
Mhm.
Nurse Floor, what about
Ikaw,
you?
Yes, so at first, like, I'm not like afraid about it because like we thought it will be gonna be staying in China only, and then we started having this first and second um no positive case, and
Mhm.
it's challenging because I and my husband is that we both work as a frontliner. I have my only son who is a small one. He's just on from KG1. My fear was that we are in healthcare. So if there's a call or a need of the frontliners to be on the side on to be on the frontliners. So my fear is that who will stay with my son. But then I felt lucky. We were lucky enough that Qatar was really doing its best to to contain the virus. Like, they are very quick. Like they plan before it happens. So like there's a lot of things that they've done. So before we were on the wave, like in the highest wave, like they've already having this. They know how to deal with it. So I was like, I'm confident that we will overcome this. So at first it's very difficult also because having a child, like they needs to go they the need for them to go out to release themselves, but then to talk to a child, like how you explain why we're not how we cannot go out, why we cannot go out, like why we cannot go out from the house, why are we not seeing friends. But then like as days goes on, like um how they understand, like how we understand the situation, it's like it's not hard. So for now, like I can say that we already like we're used to it. So we are just until like we don't make it like a big deal now, but then
Right,
still we have to be responsible.
right. Okay, cool. You know, it's different for me because I don't have any kids, so it's just me, And so when I first heard of it, I wasn't really like shocked about it at all. Matter of fact, I wasn't worried too much. You still feel young, you still feel invincible, so you didn't feel like anything was going to happen to you, And I don't have to affect anyone per se. I'm not coming home and bringing it home to someone. But it started getting real when some of your friends started getting coronavirus and things like that, and you felt susceptible as well. But it's a different feeling, I guess, when you have kids versus when you're just by yourself. I'm pretty sure it's a whole nother level of protection and security and uncertainty and things of that nature. So I can definitely empathize with our parents on the panel for sure. All right. So let's move to our second question. And I'm going to try to move a little bit quicker because we do have a good amount of questions and I want to get through a little bit. But let's move to the second question, which I think we all kind of want to know. Like, so has anyone in your family tested positive for COVID? If so, how did the entire family deal with the news? So I'm sure we all have our COVID, stories about this. So whoever wants to chime in first, please go ahead.
I'll go. No one immediate family has had COVID, but we've had a couple of relatives that did, and alhamdulillah, they all came out well from it. That's my experience.
Alhamdulillah. Yeah, it's good. It's good.
We actually had very close friends that were positive for COVID, and we had one co-worker's husband that was positive for COVID, and he got it twice, and he was fully inoculated. He's a policeman, had both of his vaccinations, and he got it twice. And the first time was stage 2, the second time was stage 4. His condition right now is very slowly improving. He basically looks like he's had a stroke, a very serious stroke. And the other lady, actually a coworker, I haven't found out anything about her. I know that at one point she and her husband were in the hospital. Other than that, the closest to home was that my husband was in close contact with somebody who was positive at work. So we did have to go through 20 days of being in the same house together and sleeping in different bedrooms, which is, I'm like, well, alhamdulillah, we have a big house with more than one bedroom. Because my grandson was in one room and he had to stay away from grandpa, and I was in one room and my husband in another room, and then we were like alternating, going in and out of the rooms in the house. So it's a good thing we have 2 toilets. But sorry, I know it's not funny, but that's about as close as it got. And we sort of tried to make a joke out of it so that we wouldn't, or should I say, I wouldn't panic.
Well, we had obviously exposure at the beginning, not obviously, not obviously, because we really didn't go anywhere. So it didn't, the kids weren't in school. My oldest happened to get exposed through her boyfriend's family, not knowing. And so, but we were able to control that and this was way at the beginning. This was when this was like in, I think it was in like September of 2020 or something. And so we were able to confine her to a room. She hated it. 14 days away from the rest of us. I don't think she ever got it. None of us ever got it. So that was that exposure at the beginning. But almost 2 months ago, I let my youngest, my 10-year-old who has asthma, go to vacation Bible school, and she came back with COVID. Now, we didn't know about the exposure till the end of the week. And then the day after we found out, she started showing symptoms. Well, it triggered her asthma. And at that point, I immediately reached out to the pediatrician. She told us to make sure she's using her inhaler a little more and all that. And honestly, by the end of that day, she had a fever. And so at that point, I figured she probably has it. So, and then I didn't show anything until I believe I woke up Monday or Tuesday morning feeling, okay, I'm sick. Like I felt different. So I knew that I probably had it. So, and I got it from her. We did test. We all tested. All 6 of us tested in different ways for different reasons. One of my second child was already in school, so she had to be tested in order to go back to school. The rest of the family were negative at that time, whereas my youngest and I became positive, but I knew because it was probably the Delta variant that we would all end up with it. And so because we're close, I mean, we do everything together, and if I got it, there was no way that the rest weren't going to get it because I'm the one who does everything. So I drive everybody, I cook dinner, I'm around them. If I got it from, it's not shocking for me to have gotten it from my 10-year-old because I was the one, you know, just attending to her needs. So it wasn't a shock for me to get it. Now, in the end, we all ended up, the girls and I ended up, so then what happened is I think they got it within a day of each other starting Thursday. So I came back with a positive on Tuesday night because it took a while. It took a few days. So my daughter and we found out Tuesday night we were positive. By Thursday, my husband and my 12-year-old started showing symptoms. By Saturday, my 15-year-old started showing symptoms. And by Sunday, my oldest started showing symptoms. So we all had it at the same time. And I don't think I was afraid. I think, I don't know. I trust God. I trust that, wherever we're supposed to be, we're going to be. And, we were not, and I'll share this, we were not vaccinated. We chose not to do that. We're always discussing it. We were constantly discussing it, but I didn't feel God was telling us to do this vaccination. I feel that there are people that, yeah, they do need it. They should do it. It can help. For us, we were really blessed that we didn't get that bad. I mean, we had a couple of days where we just didn't want to get out of bed and we felt, crummy. But my husband did get it really bad. He lost 20 pounds in 10 days. So it was really fast. He was really sick. He chose not to follow some of the suggestions that I was giving him. Like, getting up, walking around, going outside, making yourself eat, things like that. So, I mean, we survived, and we made the best of it. We just made the best of it. I mean, we were really, really blessed that it didn't affect us in a really bad way, physical, mental way. It didn't affect us in an extreme way. I don't know if y'all have questions, because since there were 6 of us, y'all have more questions on that, on symptoms or anything like that.
I'll be surprised to hear from like the nurses, like, what do you do in a situation when all 6 in the house have COVID? Is there like a issue with that? Like, how do you stay quarantined? I want to hear from the nurses. I don't know how that works. Just from my mind. So
I think from our perspective, like having 6 in the family testing positive, how is it like, especially having small kids, right? As a mom, like, how do you deal with this? How were you able to? Because everyone is like, they're having the symptoms. It's not gonna be the same for all 6. I believe maybe some of them are having worse symptoms than the other. So how were you able to surpass it and make it through?
I have to give that credit to God because I honestly don't know. I just went with the flow. They are a little older. Like my youngest is 10. She's pretty independent, being the youngest of 4. She does her own thing, all that. I mean, she did come to me or she'd go to her dad. And since we were staggered, it kind of helped. Even within a few days, because really you didn't feel really bad. My husband felt the worst and I was already kind of feeling better when he started feeling really bad. So, but I kind of left him. I was dealing with the girls. Like he didn't want to listen. And I said, okay, you do your thing. You let me know when you need me, kind of thing. I did try, like, okay, you need to go eat. You need to do this. I just stayed on top of them. I even when I felt bad, I'd get up and just go check on them. Like, hey, have you eaten something? There's food in there. At this point, I don't care what you guys eat. Just eat. Fine. Try to eat something healthy. Try to get some sustenance in you. They watched a lot of TV. We did try to go outside at least to walk around. We didn't do a lot of exercise, but we went outside to get some sun. they didn't get it all that bad. I mean, like I said, the two older ones, when the 2 days they felt bad each, it was kind of a day between each other, and they stayed in their rooms. And they're old enough to come out. I mean, they know that if they needed me, they would call me, "Hey mom, can you go get me this or that?" And I'd go do it. But I think they were actually very they took care of themselves, and at the same time they're how would I say this, conscientious of how I might be feeling, even though I wasn't saying it. They would probably think, okay, mom's not feeling well either. I think they were like, we're okay. So it just worked out. I don't know. I mean, I couldn't imagine feeling like my husband did and trying to take care of them. That with both of us feeling that way, they would have had to have taken care of us. Like we were just really blessed that the way it affected us. I mean, could we get it again later and it be worse? Yes, it could. And my husband, next time, if he gets it next time, or when he does, or if he does, will it be milder? It might be, because he has crazy antibodies right now because it was so bad for him. But yeah, I think a lot of it is, don't make yourself. I kept working, like I kept getting up and doing stuff. When I got tired, I laid down. I just made sure to take care of myself as well. Like, Ella, you need to rest. Drink drink some water, get some hot tea, whatever it was. Go rest a little bit, then get up and walk around and do something. I really didn't do anything around the house. I was like a zombie, but I was getting up and acting like I was going to do something. So, I mean, I got dressed every morning. I think it's just a lot of that, and that will help with your mental health, because you're getting up, you're going to treat this like, it's not going to conquer you. You can't let it conquer you. You have to be the stronger person over this virus.
Definitely. Wow. Does that answer your question, Nurse Nina?
Yes, I believe really it's the support system. Like having everyone in the family testing positive and everyone just checking up on each other.
Yeah.
I think that's one motivating factor that, they were able to make it through. And of course, uh, having that, faith as well that everyone will, everything will be okay. So I think that really helped. Like, the family, they're all like supporting one
Yeah, we're
another.
close.
Yes.
Well, Nurse Nina, don't go on mute yet. I have a question for the nurses. All right now. This is
Okay.
moving it forward. And I asked this question because I feel like people look at the vaccine as like a bulletproof. Like, I can't get anything if I get the vaccine, and I'm immune to life, and any of the calamities of life. So I want you to really talk about what a vaccine does. What does it provide for our bodies in terms of protection? What is the purpose of vaccinations? So for everyone to know. So can you enlighten us a little bit on that?
Okay, so vaccines. So this is really important nowadays. So the two key reasons to get vaccinated are to protect yourselves and to protect those around us. So it's not like a bulletproof that once you get vaccinated, oh, I'm not getting COVID. This is a no-no. You can still contract the virus even though you're vaccinated. So it will just lessen serious hospitalization or serious illness if you're not vaccinated. So even though you're vaccinated, you still have to follow all the precautionary measures, wearing of mask, social distancing, and what we are doing beforehand. So because the virus is changing, we have to still follow the procedures. So the purpose of this vaccine really is to contain, to save. It's really effective. It's been tested for hundreds of years already. It's been there. It's really readily available. Qatar is really very, very intense on their vaccination campaign. So this is very effective, and it could save millions of lives. It helps people by providing immunity from many serious diseases. Like as of now, we just have to trust science and get vaccinated. Um, so our purpose here is to reach herd immunity. So once everyone, get vaccinated, this will be it's around like 70% of the population. If once we reach that target, because not everyone has access to vaccines. So this will be helping to contain the virus and not, have this variants and the transmission of the virus could be contained. So that's the purpose of the vaccination.
Okay.
Yep.
That's good. I think that was really helpful for people to know because
Mm-hmm.
I think there's some myths around the vaccination and what does it
Yes.
mean. I'm not here to
Mm-hmm.
stump for anyone to get the vaccine or anything. That's everyone's own opinion.
It's
But
still
I think the purpose of it and to understand what it really does and to really
yes.
manage our expectations around what a vaccination should do for our
Mm-hmm.
bodies, right? For the protection of others as well. So I really
Yes.
appreciate that. You're not off the hook yet. I have another question for nurses, okay? Want to hear from the floor as well on this. So just imagine your life as nurses during this pandemic as like a play, right, on Broadway, right? So you know how when the drapes are closed, right? That's when the play and that's when the show goes on, right? But what about when the drapes are open and it's still showtime? You can see the back, right, behind the scenes. So I want you to give everyone like a behind the scenes look at what it really was like for nurses in a school to deal with the pandemic, to deal with the cases. Now, don't give too much away, right? But just give us a little glimpse of how busy your lives were because I know how they were because we were on the same COVID teams. But how busy really was your life when those things were going on?
Justin, like I can say that it's like physically and mentally challenging. So during this COVID pandemic, like maybe we thought like nurses are in like low mode, but then we are trying our best to protect. As I've said in the beginning, like my role is to keep the safe, healthy and safe environment for the children, especially here. So it's crazy because there might be sometimes like even in the night like we receive the calls from the ministry alerting us that we do have this positive case. So you know how massive, like how very keen we are in contact tracing in coordination with the CDC and the Ministry of Public Health. It's 24 hours, I can say. Like you have to be always alert because you don't know when you are going to receive that alert from them. We have to be like ready every time, physically most of all, because we need to be healthy, we need to be strong, we need to take care of ourselves also. But then at the back of that, I'm still human, like I'm still a mom, I still have my family, I still have that fear back of my mind. But then I need to do it. This is my calling. Like I know I cry, I smile with all my fellow nurses out there, but this is us. This is what we ought to do. So I'm just thankful that until now God is protecting us. Like, um we get exhausted. But
Of course.
then at the end of the day, we're still smile. And with the support that we are getting from the government, from our team, our core team here in, especially here in GEMS, like we have to go on. It will never stop. I know these things will not stop now. It will continue. We just be ready ahead. And that's
I would like to give a shout out to our nurses. They've yes, because
Yeah.
I got a call before my son was with a fever, and so all the steps that they went through to make sure it wasn't the COVID, it was awesome, and I really appreciated how it went through. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
doing a good job.
Yeah, super shout out to our nurses. I know a little bit of what they're talking about because I had to communicate a lot of this to parents as well. And
I know sometimes it's hard.
not a sacrifice. I'm just
Yes.
gonna tell you that right now. They get the MVP awards. If you don't know what MVP means, that's most valuable persons, right? Because there's two of them. So they really get that award from our school, honestly, because they worked around the clock when this really was at this height. And they were working and there was no days off. So one would switch off and be the main one, but they both were in communication the whole time anyway. And there was so many things that they had to communicate from the MOPH, MOE, from the head of school to us as a COVID team, to parents coming in, contact tracing. I mean, the list can go on. All right. So they're the real MVPs when it comes to this pandemic, and also obviously our parents as well. For their individual households and what they've done as well. All right. So, all right, cool. So let me move on to some of the questions about the strategy portion, right, of what we can do during this pandemic and during this COVID time to help our families, right? Because it's been trying. It's been a trying time. So I'm going to flip to another question, and this is more about mental health. Okay. So when it comes to parents supporting the mental health and social emotional growth of their children during this time, what did you do? Because the kids sometimes can't understand what's happening, right? We could devise a community, right? A culture around that. But what if they don't understand it? What if they do understand it but don't accept it, right? What do we do as parents to deal with this situation? So parents, jump right in. Let us know some of your strategies that you've used.
I actually used tough love because I was dealing with a teenager, and a teenager that was physically as big as me and much taller. And I had just had to keep telling him, you're not in this boat alone. The entire world is going through this, because he really had a total meltdown. He got to a point where we literally had to take all of his gadgets away, and he tore apart his bedroom, and he was shouting and screaming, and very dramatic, extremely dramatic. And I actually had to go in there and threaten to cane him to get him to settle down, and it broke my heart, seriously broke my heart, to have to do that to my grandchild. And because his father couldn't be with him. His father is an actor, and at that time he was actually stuck in Kuala Lumpur at the beginning of it. He had been working on a movie already. He had to stay over there. I just kept telling him, call your father, and then I'd call my son and say, call your son. And I mean, I was trying so hard to get my grandson to calm down and to keep it together. And he became extremely rebellious. And so finally what I did is I just gave in. I just said, this isn't going away. And there's no possible way that I can keep him away from these gadgets, because psychologically, he needs to talk to some friends. He needs to talk to somebody. So I just gave in. No matter what my husband said, my son said, I just gave in. I just said, just do whatever. Watch your movies, cartoons, videos, whatever. And actually, he came out of it very well. He now has an Instagram where he puts out music. He became extremely creative. He taught himself how to sing. He taught himself how to use the laptop to make music, I guess, to adjust all of the different, and he actually has a business. He's not even 15 years old yet, but he's come out of it with a business. He showed me his PayPal, and I tell you, Alhamdulillah, thank God that I did say, just do whatever, because he really came out of it on top, I would say. And since we're now in what we call the endemic stage, he has been able to spend a lot of time with his father, and he's doing so much better. That's how I had to deal with it.
I like it. It ended up pretty well, pretty positive. I like that. So
yeah.
I think a lot for us is a lot about communication. And again, I mean, as y'all know, I mean, we're fairly close, my girls and myself and my husband, and we openly talk about things, uncomfortable things at times. And so I mean, as a parent, I think you need to know what that relationship is between you and your children, and to be able to ask them straight up, are you okay? You know, like, do you have questions? Let's try to work through this together. I may not have all the answers, but we can look up the answers. You know, maybe we can go to someone. I think my kids, kind of going with the flow, like almost like, okay, this is a part of life. It is kind of scary, and I got to tell them too, you know, it's okay to be afraid. It's okay to be, you know, a little worried, but the more information we know, the more research we do, the more questions we ask, the better we might feel. So it's a lot about communication in our family. It's a lot about talking to each other, and even if they say, "Oh, never mind," I'm like, "No, what's your question?" Like, you know, and this is about anything, about life, even in life in general. And there's some uncomfortable things I have to talk about with my kids, with my daughters. And I tell them straight up too how nervous I am to talk about it, but I'm just very what's the word? I try to be open-minded, even though we have, you know, we have fundamentals and faith and everything. We have our belief system, and I remind them how important that is, and that sometimes we're not going to get answers, and we're not going to ever know why. We're not going to ever be able to understand, and we just got to trust that God has, you know, a reason for these things to go on, and we just got to trust him. We don't need to know what it always is about. We pray for others that are going, you know, through the same thing or worse. And we just, I think a lot for us, it's a lot about communication. It's a lot about, like, just ask the questions and checking on them, you know, like, just out of the blue, you might think, you know, oh, they're doing fine. They're doing fine. They may not be. They just might be like you, showing everybody that you're doing fine, but inside you're falling apart. So sometimes just asking I'll ask them, you know, hey, how are you doing? How are you feeling? Are you okay? You know, is something bothering you? Just because they don't even realize that that's what they need, is someone to ask. So yeah, definitely communication on our end.
Yeah. Deanna, want to hear from you as well?
Yeah, same like with Carmen, with our kids and electronics. You know, you try to keep them away from it, but that's what keeps them going. That's how they communicate with their friends, and they stay in touch with everybody, even though you saw them online doing their homework and all, and then the evening they're playing with their friends' games. But yeah, that's what helped us, and it was a big adjustment. And then, yeah, I think that's yeah. Keep it short.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Cool. You know what's interesting? I just listen to everyone. Seems like faith is a big part of how they got through a lot of this, in terms of the toughest parts. So even if you didn't say it, I know all of you kind of here, so I kind of know faith is a part of your lives. So that's really interesting, and I think that's an underrated aspect of the mental health and stability of you, in terms of like, hey, I can actually see this through, the self-efficacy of like, I can do this, I can get through it, right? And then supporting others along that process, because you can't support others if you can't support yourself at that time. So that's another thing that's really great to hear from all the panelists so far. I'm going to go to another question that is really more so about how we all dealt with our kids going through e-learning or distance learning. Okay, so now I've heard all of you, or not all of you, but most of you say, I had to give in a little bit to these devices, right? But what if they were already on the devices for 8 hours in the day for school? So, like, how did you like balance all of that? Because that's a lot of developmental issues it could be for a young child's eyes, right? To be in front of a pixelated screen all the time. Did you just say whatever, go at it? You know, what was it a plan? You know, I heard a little bit, but I just want you to kind of go into like what that distance learning or e-learning experience was, and are you still in that type of learning model right now? So, yeah.
Yeah, well, here in Malaysia, yes, we are still in it. From what I understand, we're supposed to be going through the school break. They're not going to have school break this year. From what I understand, I might be wrong, but yeah, my grandson actually did really good. He knew to turn down the light on his phone, because at first he had this itty bitty old, it was an Apple 5SE or something like that, but itty teeny tiny screen. And I felt so bad for him, and I kept telling my son, buy him a new phone, and he wouldn't. So I gave him my laptop, and he was working on my laptop and all of that. He broke my laptop. That's how he kept doing escape or something like that, and he broke my laptop. So I said, okay, now what are we gonna do? I thought about giving him my tab. He didn't want the tab. He preferred to be on his phone, and I think he went through about what 6 pair of earphones. He's really tough on earphones,
Wow.
the wireless and the wired ones. And so I actually, early this month, I went and I bought him a new cell phone because they're still, uh, learning from home or schooling from home, whichever way you want to put it. And supposedly next month, they're supposed to be going back to school at what we call 50%, meaning that 50% of the school will be alternating the students and the teachers. And that's only because the form students or the high school students, they must get their education. Here in Malaysia, there are actually 3 very important exams. There's one exam after when they're in standard 6 or year 6th grade. Another exam when they are let me see, freshman, sophomore, junior, and then when they're seniors. But here in Malaysia, they have a 5th year in high school, whereas like in America, we have 4 years. We have sophomore, junior, freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior. Or in Malaysia, they have another one, and then they have a major exam, which is called the university entrance exam, and that one is the most important one. That is the one that's going to actually set them off to be able to choose any university that they want in the future. So here in Malaysia, it is extremely critical for anybody from what we say Form 1 to Form 5 to get their education and their knowledge. I honestly appreciate the teachers for being so patient and working so hard and trying their best to keep things together, because they have their own families at home, and at the same time they're trying to teach their students. So that's what we're going through in Malaysia right now.
Deanna, did you want to go first?
Okay. Well, my son, he's doing 2 days a week or sometimes 3 days a week because it's alternative in gyms the days that they're going to school. And he likes it to a point, but then also he's just saying it's too much being online. He likes to be in person, in front of his teachers. Yeah. So that's been a big struggle. And they actually do better when they're in school than than learning online. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to make a point before you go, Ella, that like there are some schools here that can go the full 5 days. Typically, you'll see that because it's about 50%, of the student capacity. And so there's some new schools who have a lot of capacity in their building, so they can go every single day. There's schools that have less than half of their capacity, so they can go every day. And then there's some that are going every day, but maybe the quality of education, it could be strong, could be less, depending on how they're setting it up. All right. So it just depends. For us, what we wanted to do was just, if you come into school, it's going to be quality education, smaller classes, more individualized attention, if you will, small group attention. But when you're home, it's more focused on projects and assignments and things of that nature, instead of maybe just staring at a screen and going through class again that way as well. So every school has its way of how to set it up. The Ministry of Education just says, we need you to do this, this, and this. And then the schools set up the way they want to do it within those parameters from the Ministry of Education or the Ministry of Public Health. So just wanted to point that out. But yeah, Ella, let's hear about what is going on in Texas.
Okay, so Texas. So at the beginning, they figured it out. So when we got that shut down and kids, that in that 2020, I had a senior. She missed out on everything. senior stuff.
Wow.
Graduation was different. Everything was very different. Now they did figure out how to go online and they did all that. My two younger kids hated it, hated the online stuff. I think they thought, oh, this is cool. We're at home. We can do whatever we want. But then they had to, no, you can't. So they did get away with a few things like wearing their PJs if it looked like regular clothes or, something like that. But I mean, I had to be on top of them. I had to say, like, are you doing your work? Are you doing this? Are you on there? I mean, my 12-year-old is the one, didn't like it, was late to class every time. I don't know how you're late to class if it's right in front of you, but late to class, absences, all this stuff, trying to figure out how this is working. Wi-Fi was crazy. We had a lot of issues with that in this area. Not enough of it. It was really so slow. People couldn't afford it in the area, so they were trying to work things out. So that was it was a mess. Now, I had a 15-year-old. My 15-year-old was a freshman in high school at the time, and she stayed home the whole entire year. Now, I'm trying to be quick because I know we got lots of other questions. She is a different kind of learner. So she has ADHD and a reading disability. So for her, it worked out great. She loved it. It was more one-on-one. She did her stuff before she finished her stuff before everybody else. She didn't wait till the last minute to do it. She did that on her own. Normally when she's in class, she's easily distracted, takes her longer to take tests, there's a lot of accommodations for her. And so this worked out great for her. So I had, a mix because all my kids learn differently from each other. They're very different from each other. None of them are alike. And so now, as far as now, we're the beginning of this year was really hectic, the school year, because of Texas Education Agency and what they were putting out, what CDC was putting out, and what the government was putting out, national regular government. So it was state and, rules as well. So everything was getting mixed up. It was really difficult. And then that new variant hit and changed everything. And it was like kind of a mess. Everyone's in school right now. And actually at the beginning of the school years, everybody was expected to be in person. No ifs, ands, or buts. So we had a lot of people pulling their kids out of school, doing homeschooling. The homeschooling programs around here were so full that they are struggling to get these kids into schooling. In the United States, it's mandatory to go to school from the age of, or from first grade and up. So it's been a challenge for a lot of those families who are struggling with those and their choices, I'm not against their choices. That's what they need to do. What's best for their family. So it's kind of a crazy, like y'all seem like y'all got it put together over here in Texas. A little crazy.
Oh, I miss America. Oh, I miss America. Definitely. I'm not going to comment on my home state of New Jersey. So,
yeah.
I'm not going to comment on my home
even
state
more different. It's way different over there.
Yeah, I'm not going to comment on that one. But we'll go to the next question. So, speaking of choices, right? That Ella said, she said choices. So, I want to talk with the nurses first on this one. This question is about how can you ensure that that parents made sure their kids ate healthier, right? So maybe the parents need to eat healthier too. But I know there was a lot of buying food. There was toilet paper wars in the U.S. Just a lot of people stocking up on a lot of things. So people, could gain some weight. People can be, have different emotions during this. So again, with the food, how was that with your family? Was it a success? Was it, you had to readjust? Talk to me about it, nurses. First, at least, yeah.
I think during this COVID-19 pandemic, one of the most important thing to do right now is to boost your immune system. So of course, load it up with vitamin C, zinc, all the fruits that you can have, vegetables and all. I think that's one of the most important thing,
but
along with
Nia,
exercise.
That's not fun. I want to eat Doritos.
Make it creative for kids, right? Like for small kids, put some decoration, like with a strawberry or a banana, like cut it up and make it, enjoyable for the kids to eat. I think this is one way of, getting kids excited to eat is when you present, them like in a nice way so they can eat it. So, or maybe like if you're making spaghetti, why don't you like grate them some carrots and that they don't see it, you put it in the sauce instead, something like that. You have to be creative as a mom. I think I'm not a mom myself, but I also love cooking. So I think that's one way to get kids excited to eat their meals and making sure it's healthy and to present it to in a way that would be get them excited to eat their food. I
Mhm.
think that's one way of getting them eat healthy.
Right. I agree.
Yeah.
Nurse Floor, do you have any, strategy since you have a son as well? Shout out to Daniel as well. You have a son. So how did you do it with him?
Justin, good one thing good that happened during this pandemic, it's like an eye opener to us parents. Like to eat healthy, to start eating healthy. Like
Mhm.
for us, like fruits and vegetables, especially those fruits that contains a lot of vitamin C. Like before, like we ignore them. Like we go on Nutellas, we go on like chocolates. But as a nurse, like working here in the school, like we highly discourage those type of food. Like for me as my son, I know it's difficult for them, like they don't like it, they don't like the taste, but as you talk to them, as you encourage them, they will understand. At first they will not like it, but then as Nurse Nina was saying, you make to have your own strategies for them to like it.
Mhm.
Instead, like for me, like for my son Daniel, like i I prepare something like broccoli. Broccoli is green and put something strawberry that's red and green. So it's red and green. That's very attracting to them. And
Mhm.
then I have to make sure that he eats it. Like I need to explain to him every time, hey, you need to eat this because it contains a lot of vitamins. Like you need to be healthy. Like I always goes on to, this is for your liver. I know it's hard for them to understand, but if it is like every day that you keep telling them, like they will be aware of it. So I think that's the good point. Like it's for everyone. Like it's an eye opening to everyone that we have to choose to be healthy rather than to go on to unhealthy, which is it's
So
difficult. I know.
so what you're saying is you just have to be patient.
You need to be patient.
Okay.
You need to have like a strategy as a mom also.
Mhm. I see.
Sometimes working moms, it's difficult really. If you're a working mom, you need to have an effort to do it, time, especially in the morning, you need to prepare. But then again, as a mom, working mom, I need to make sure it's my responsibility,
Mhm.
especially for a young kid like my son. He's just in grade one, so it's my responsibility to take to for him to eat, like to have this healthy food. So
Mm.
again, it's mom's duty as well.
Definitely. Definitely. All right. And then from the other parents here on the panel, what did you do? If anything, right? Sometimes I don't know if we did everything or anything, but what is your experience with the healthy foods, introducing that more in this pandemic?
Well, I
It's
used a lot of the slow cooker because, like, when you're helping the kids
Ah.
during online, yeah, and so that's easy to like put a meal together and then hide some vegetables in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was my
Mm-hmm.
strategy.
I like
Oh,
that. I
yeah,
like it.
yeah.
yeah.
Um, I think a big thing, not that we do it all the time, I try to just not have those things in the house.
That's smart too.
Like I don't buy sodas and
That's
have them
smart.
hanging around. My kids don't, by the way, my kids don't really drink sodas. Um, they they don't really like them. But we since they were young, they weren't allowed to have soda. So I think
Mhm.
that's one of those big culprits. As an adult, of course, we do whatever we want. And I have some, and then I realize what it's doing to me. And then like I'm not on it right now. I'm not drinking anything. And it makes a difference. It really does make a difference. The
Mhm.
sodium and the sugar. Um, I think for the most part, mine are older, so they'll come to me and say, "Mom, there's nothing good to snack on." And I'm like, and I'll walk, I'm like, there's fruit and there's this and there's that. There's plenty of things to snack on. It's just not the sugary
Right.
stuff that you guys want, but fruit is really good. I go, you want something sweet, eat a piece of fruit. There's sugar in that, like think of it that way, or whatever. I go, I their thing is that they don't have to ask me for fruit. If their fruit is there, they don't have to ask permission to go eat it. Like grab it, eat it. If it's anything that's unhealthy that we might have in the house, they're supposed to ask. Because I got to see, okay, how close to dinner is this? What have you been doing? Have you been active? Things like that. But I really try my best not to have that stuff in the house. They do not have discipline. Okay, I have discipline, but they do not have discipline. So I have to have less of it in the house.
Ella, I was going to say, and I know this company is not going to be happy with me, but I saw a Coca-Cola ad. And it was a YouTube channel was kind of reacting to this Coca-Cola ad, and Coca-Cola is never going to sponsor our school, so I really don't care. But they said literally that a Coca-Cola, if you put a metal rod in there, like a thin metal rod, it could dissolve that metal rod.
Yep.
So just wondering what would that do to your intestines, like your inner lining of your stomach?
Yes.
And
yes.
That's crazy to me. That was crazy when I saw that video. I said, no more of that for me. So,
yes. We actually did a science fair project using nails, and Coca-Cola soda was one of the things. And it was pretty much to see what would cause the most corrosion. And we put it in different liquids, and soda was up there. So
yeah. We don't offer that in our school, by the way, because that's no way. No way. Carmen, I want to hear from you as well, in terms of what was going on in Malaysia, like in your family. What did you do to combat that? Or did you already have a healthy household to begin with?
Actually, this is one thing I always say about Malaysian food is it is so delicious. It's like the most delicious food in the world. And the unfortunately, the bad thing about it is that it's so cheap. It's so easy to just go out and buy. It's like there's food stalls all over the place, everywhere, and then there's small restaurants everywhere, so you can actually get a very healthy meal. 3, 4, 5 times a day. From 7 o'clock in the morning to midnight. To 2 o'clock in the morning, you can get a very healthy meal. But too much of a good thing is not good for you. And what actually I am very guilty of, and I really appreciate Ella for saying that she has a very healthy mindset at home, about food, because being that we were so busy, I sort of let go of that, and I gave in to pizza and hamburgers and all the fast foods. And I had gained so much weight. I gained a lot of weight. My grandson, he was just emotionally up and down, because if a child has a poor diet, it does affect their mind. It affects their whole system. And so I actually got quite dramatic for myself. I became a vegan. And for my family, I just started making salads more. I cooked. I'm the queen of the kitchen, so whatever I cook, I have to eat. But of course, I do not force anybody to be vegan. I did cook them some chicken and some beef and some fish. I'm a nice vegan. I'm an equal opportunity vegan, I guess you can say.
You're considerate.
Right.
Yes, I'm considerate. So I'm sure my husband appreciated that.
I was going to say the views expressed by the panelists do not reflect Jim's American Academy or any other institutions.
You should put a disclaimer.
Right. Saying that right now. Well, that's amazing. That's amazing to hear, and I'm really happy that it transformed you in a positive manner. So that's good. I do have one more question because we're at the end of our time, and I want to be respectful of the time and things of that nature. So I want to ask this question, and I think I probably know everyone's answer. But do you feel that we will return to normal, right, quote unquote, or is this our new normal? Yes or no?
I think this is our new normal. We're just gonna have to learn to live with the
Hmm.
COVID, and
Hmm.
just do our best to make it feel normal as we move forward with it.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot of things. I mean, I think it's going to get better.
Hmm.
I really think it's going to get better. Just like anything else we've dealt with in the past, a lot of these are cycles.
Hmm.
It's going to get better. We have to have a better attitude about it. And as far as a new normal, I mean, yes, this is going to be around. And like I said, it should get better and easier for us to deal with it. And I mean, I don't think it's going to go away completely. We have a lot of other um, viruses and stuff that still around. So I
Hmm.
mean, it's just a matter of our immune system getting accustomed to it. Um, it's it's going to affect a lot of us in a lot of different ways, and I think we just have to keep looking at it as a day at a time and appreciating every day we have, and then at the same time learning from this, because I think it doesn't have to be a bad thing to be a new normal. It can
Hmm.
be a good thing. Just looking at it as a positive way, that there are ways that we're going to grow from this as a community, as a family, as a nation, as other countries, and working together to figure out what's going to work for all of us so that we have the highest survival rates, so that we have, just more time with each other. So I think we can't look at this so negatively, no matter how much it's in our face.
Hmm.
How much media presents it that way, how much everyone is trying to divide all of us rather than bring us together. I think it is important for each of us to remember that we need to really stick together. It doesn't matter what race or what nationality, what culture, what faith we follow. I think we still need to work together as a human race and accept each other and protect each other, be there for each other.
Hmm. Agreed. Agreed. Yeah. Anybody else's opinion? New normal or not?
Yeah, I honestly do think, I appreciate what Ella said. I really do agree with a lot of what she
Hmm.
said. And I do feel like this is going to be a new normal in the sense of now teachers have a way to make sure that those absent children attend class. Because here in Malaysia, they did, I mean, I think just about every child has a laptop, if not a tab or a cell phone. So
Hmm.
I'm hoping that everybody appreciates each other a lot more, and I hope that everybody appreciates the fact that we need to wash our hands with soap a lot more.
Yes.
I'm not gonna lie to you. That is an underrated comment because there's a lot of people that come out the bathroom sometimes and don't do that. I'm
Mhm.
Exactly.
keeping it honest. I'm keeping it 100%. But now, because of everything, a lot of people are more conscious of that. But should have been conscious of it before, I guess. So yeah. I think I'll chime in on this as well. I think it's just another iteration of life. This is another adjustment. This is another chapter. I saw a picture a while ago of a baseball game in 1919, I believe, or 1918, where they had masks on at that time, right? I don't know what it was, or the Spanish flu or something else. I'm not sure, but I know they had masks on, white masks, just like we have masks on now. I remember when I was in New York City working on Wall Street, people down there, like a lot of the Asian population, they already had masks on protecting us. I remember one day I said, "How come you're wearing that mask?" Because I thought it was like you're afraid to get sick of from us. They're like, "No, I'm protecting you. I may be sick." And so that's why I'm wearing the mask. And I remember asking, she was a Japanese lady. And I remember asking her that because that wasn't really our culture in America to wear a mask at that time. But she said, I'm protecting you because I may feel sick and I don't want you to get what I have. And so that made me think a little bit differently. So when the mask came around here in Qatar, it made me think like, okay, maybe I'm protecting someone else by wearing this, you know? So I don't know. It made me think a little bit differently, but this is just another iteration of life. This is another virus. This is things that we will overcome. Humans are the most adaptable, resilient species in the world. So why not, right? So we'll get through this as well. That's my opinion on it. Nurses, what do you feel like?
I think, like, I agree with you, Justin, that this is a new chapter of our
Mhm.
life. This situations, like there are sad, bad things that happen. But we
Mhm.
have to remember that there are also like good things happen during this time. So I think from that we have to move in. Like we
Mhm.
need to be positive. We need to move forward. Like we need to embrace the situation.
Right.
Otherwise, if we keep ourselves in that situation, then like nothing will happen.
Correct.
That's
For me, I think change is inevitable. We are in, it's always moving forward. We cannot go back in the past. The past is there. So what we need to do now is change that negativity into positivity. So we just have to continually adjust, be flexible with what is happening. I think this will be the new normal, I would say. We just have to be resilient, and of course, everyone is like looking, being positive that everything will be okay at the end. Of course, in the beginning it's very hard and challenging for everyone, but as time goes by, with all the vaccinations rolling in, cases are going down, we still couldn't be relaxed during this time because the virus is still there, it's constantly changing as well, but it's a learning process. I think everyone has learned through this pandemic. They've had developed a lot of things. They've learned with themselves and also with the situation. And I think it's also a positive thing. Looking, on the bright side of it, that you've learned new ways, like you need to wash your hands, you have to also look after one another, wear your mask, you have to be um, conscientious of other people as well during this pandemic. It's not only yourself, but you also have to care about other people as well, because
Mhm.
with the COVID pandemic, it's not only you cannot only think about yourself, it's also other people as well. So if we are thinking the same thing, like, oh, I have to wear my mask, or I need to social distance. If I'm sick, I need to isolate. You have to be on that scenario. You have to really push yourself. And I think with the help of everyone, and if you're thinking the same thing, this pandemic will be resolved eventually in God's time, as they say. So we just have to stay positive in a good way, not positive.
Mhm.
Positive has
I
already like a bad connotation for
see what you did
everyone.
there. I see what you did
But I
there. I
mean,
like
like, stay positive in a nice way.
it. That's funny. That's funny. That's a great way to also end the show as well. So we are at the closing remarks. I think we covered everybody's questions. There were no questions at all. There were viewers, but there were no questions. So that's a good thing. I want to say a couple things before we go. If you have any questions about Jim's American Academy, about what we do, Jim's Education. I'm the parent relations executive. I am the customer service wing of the school. I can answer any questions you have about this school and things of that nature. So you can email me there, and feel free to reach out. Let me know how you felt about the show. If you didn't feel good about it, let me know. I'm the feedback center of the school. So I take it all, good or bad, right? The second thing I want to say is just admissions wise, we do have spaces available here at the school still. We are waitlisted right now in grades 3, 4, 7, and 9 at this time. But we do have spaces in other areas, and we are okay to waitlist you for those grades if you're still interested in the school. So if you do have interest in our school, this is the email here to email us and let us know. And you'll be reaching out to me because I'll probably do the tour with you or answering your questions anyway. So if you're okay with me, you like, how I talked and how I roll, you'll be dealing with me anyway in terms of the questions and the admissions process of the school. We would love to reach out to you and answer any questions, okay? The last order of business is saying thank you. Gratitude is everything over here, right? So thank you for the viewers today who watched the live stream. Thank you to our panelists who took out their precious time today to be with us, especially Carmen, who was on the late night, right? It's about what, 11:21 over there? something of that nature, right? I don't know. It's off the top of my head. I don't know how I do these things, but it's 11:21 where Carmen is. So we really appreciate all the panelists today for what they have done. And I'm just appreciative of Deanna again, who is, the strong arm of the Parent Association here at Jim's American Academy. And we have more monthly live streams to go next month. The last Tuesday in October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We have a great show for you at that time to show respect to breast cancer, right? So I'm out. We need to go eat. I need to pray. I need to do all these other things as well. So let's get out of here. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you. And we'll look to see you, come back to our live stream next month in October, inshallah. Thank you so much, everyone.